Stitch Cuties, I'm Brittany with Stitches of Love Quilting, and welcome to the tutorial for your ELF Block 1 of your Christmas Lane block of the month. And this is the tutorial for using your embroidery machine files to complete all of the applique and the hoop of your machine. So yesterday we did the tutorial for sewing machine applique. That's up for you to watch on YouTube and Facebook. And of course you can log into your account on our website to access the video. So today I'm going to tell you a few things I like to have set up when I'm doing the embroidery, and then we're going to go through the whole process and make the entire block using the embroidery machine. So of course in your kit you have your pattern, and inside you have step-by-step instructions on how to do the embroidery portion. We give you nice little icons so you can follow along and easily know what to do. So to get started, what I always like to do, I use my placement guide that comes in my pattern, and I identify each pre-fused laser cut applique piece, and then I put them in a pile of how I'm going to use them. For example, if you look at, let's say, step 8, it's going to give you an outline of a certain number of pieces. So what I do is go on and get all of those pieces in order from smallest to largest number. And that way I don't have to worry about what order I'm putting things in. I have them right here in front of me in 3 individual piles. So we happen to have 3 individual steps where we're ironing our pieces on. And we're going to do just like the pattern says and load our white thread on the machine. Now in front of me, let me show you with my other camera. In front of my embroidery machine, I like to have a cutting surface for when I turn my block at the end. I have my Steady Betty. I adore my Steady Betty. This is the background fabric that comes in your kit. You don't need to do anything. We're going to trim it later. So just press it how it comes out of your kit. I have all of my threads in numerical order of how they appear in the pattern. So again, it's all laid out. I have everything I need right in front of me. In my hoop, you can see a little bit of my hoop sticking out right here. You have your 8-inch by 12-inch hoop. And I have it loaded with a Sulky Tear Easy stabilizer. I love this stabilizer. And then, I should mention all of the threads are also Sulky. They're the 40 weight threads. And we have adorable thread kits for y'all in the Christmas Lane block of the month. I love it. I think it's 16 colors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Nope, 14 colors. Super, super cute. And then some tools I also like to have with me. My Karen K. Buckley scissors. They're sharp all the way to the tip. I use these when I'm trimming my threads and things like that with the embroidery machine. And it has a little protector too, which is nice. My 3M transport tape, I love this. I use it to hold my fabric in place at the beginning of the process. And then for when you're working with little pieces, I think we might use it today. I have my Alex Anderson 4-in-1 tool because I like using the little stiletto or the little wooden pointy end to get my pieces where I want them. And of course, my Steam Fast Travel Iron. I love this little guy. Can I get up to full heat because it's a little iron, but if it was, you're using like a big iron, keep it on medium heat with your heat and bond light. But on this little guy, full heat. Look how, sorry, y'all, mom's gonna get mad. I'm using a really dirty one, but I've been using this little guy for years. Okay, so you're gonna load your embroidery file on the machine and we're gonna get started. I'll switch the camera back over to me, and I do hope that the sound isn't too loud of the machine. It's the first day using some new cameras, so bear with me if I don't have my sound settings all the way right. Let's get going. So I have white thread in the sewing machine, and what the machine is going to do on this step is simply give us an outline at the top and bottom of our square so that we know where to place our background fabric. It's just a really nice big wide basting stitch that it's doing right now. Another thing I like to have handy when I'm doing my embroidery is a cute little like glass jar. This is a little metal jar. It's like $1 from Target to keep my little scraps. It's like basically a little trash can for me. And then always keep your bobbins handy. So I just buy a giant box of white pre-round bobbins, and I use that the entire time. Again, I'm very sorry if my machine is very loud with the camera today. I'll work out those settings as I film more tutorials for y'all with the new cameras. So on our hoop, let me switch cameras for you. So when you take it off, you'll see at the top and bottom you have just a straight line stitch. Now I always turn my hoop sideways so that it fits on top of my Steady Betty, because through the whole process I don't want to distort or move my stabilizer in my hoop, because then all the other steps will be affected. So I'm simply going to take my fabric, tape it into place. You just need to make sure that it is covering that stitched line. So get your 3M transport tape and tape this into place. Now again, we're going to use the white thread on our machine for the next several steps, and you'll just follow along in the pattern with what colors you want to have where. It's very important to use the color the pattern calls for so that you make sure the right piece is stitched the right color. So we'll put this back on the machine. There we go. So what the machine is going to stitch now are those same 2 lines. It's going to baste the fabric in place for us. And then at the end of this process, it also functions as our trim line and a guide to use with our placement guide to make sure we trim our block to that perfect 8 inches. So it's also going to give us our first round of applique outline. So let me look in the pattern. I'll tell you the numbers that you need to have ready. So it is outlining on step 8, pieces 1 through 5, 16, 20, 24, and 25. So again, I have all of those laid in a nice little pile ready to go for use on my machine. Now I do want to tell you on several of the pieces, you'll notice that you have 2 identical pieces. So when it comes to the white snow and then his peach face and his peach hand, you have 2 of those pieces, and that's so we can double line the applique piece, so you'll have less of the background fabric or the pieces below it showing through. And it's very easy to do. You just simply iron the 2 pieces right on top of each other, so you'll see that in just a second. So the machine is stitching the outline. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to comment on the video and ask the questions. While I am filming live, I can't see the comments because there's just one of me in the studio today. But after the video, I will make sure I go back and answer any of the questions you have. And once you do one block, you'll kind of know your setup that you like to have in your sewing machine. Like I said, I like to have my Steady Betty right in front of the machine. I like to have all my pieces laid out up front, and I like to have my threads laid out up front, so I just don't have to think through the entire process. So the machine is almost done stitching our applique outlines for us. So I digitize all of the files based on all of the artwork that Julie designs. This is also a collaboration with Amy Brucken, so it's a collaboration of Amy's original art. Julie modifies it for applique, and then I get everything ready for the embroidery machine and the lasers. So all of the files that we use to cut all the pieces that come in your kit, the exact same files I use for the embroidery machine, so you always have a perfect fit with all of your pieces, which is very nice. So we have just 2 more outlines that it's going to stitch for us. And then when we lay our pieces in place, we just simply do it in numerical order. Start with the lowest number and go to the highest number. It really is a super easy process. It's kind of like applique by numbers, which is fun. And so in just a second, we'll have that ready to iron on. And I know a lot of you will ask what machine I use. I use the Brother and Novus VE2200. I think it's probably like 5 or 6 years old now. They actually don't make it anymore. I don't know what the updated model of it is. But I have to tell you, I really have enjoyed it. There's so many cool new, like, fancy embroidery machines. I really love it. Okay, so you can see in front of you, it's probably a little hard to see on the camera because, you know, it's white thread on the white fabric. But in front of you, you'll have good lighting in your sewing studio and you'll be able to see everything. So we are going to start with piece number 1, which is our snow right down here on the bottom. And this is one where you have 2 pieces. They're identical. It doesn't matter which one you put down first. So you just simply follow the curves, just like so. And we're going to iron it in place. Now I am going to remove the tape because if I iron on that, it does get gooey on my iron. So I want to make sure to take that off, and remember your piece is already stitched into place, so you don't have to worry about your fabric moving. And then we're just going to put the second piece right on top, like so. There we go. Now our next piece is number 2, and that is the little tree trunk. And so you have your outline here, and then it goes all the way to the bottom right there into your seam allowance. Then our tree, this fabric right here is super cute. It's called bead cross stitch. It's actually a basic from Lori Holt's fabrics. A lot of this quilt is actually Lori Holt basics. Her Cozy Christmas, some of her cross stitch basics. Super, super cute. Like this background print is called Cozy Christmas Sparkle. Next up, we're going to do number 4. This is kind of like a little hidden piece because it's actually his arm to make it look like it's wrapping around and holding that candy cane. So that's why we're putting part of his arm down so early in the process, if you will. Next up, our big candy cane, which is also a super cute print fabric. I didn't get all my backing off. There we go. And so it lines up straight at the bottom. And then with the large piece, just make sure you have it in place all the way around before you begin ironing. There we go. And just simply press it in place. It only takes 3, 4, 5 seconds to get your piece right in place for ironing. Next up, we're going to start building his little leg and shoe area. So this is his first leg. It doesn't matter which way you do the stripes. There we go. Now we're going to do his right arm right over here. I love doing this. It's so quick and easy. Oh my goodness. It's fantastic. I will say lately I've been doing more sewing machine applique off of the embroidery machine, like usually the sewing machine. And it's really fun too, but I just have to say this is my favorite. And then we're going to put this piece right in place. And the little pom-pom on our elf hat. Super cute. I don't know if you all noticed on your box it says something about like every day is Christmas or make every day feel like Christmas. So hopefully every time you get this in the mail, you're super excited. So now we're going to keep the white thread on our machine. When we put this back on, the machine is going to give us an outline of every single piece of the candy, and then it's going to give us another outline of a leg and a shoe down here, part of his little outfit, and then let's get it stitching. And so if you want, I'll move this where you can see it stitch. Well, no, I might not be able to get the camera back in place. So we'll just chat while it stitches. A lot of times when I do these embroidery tutorials for you, I edit them and I, do just the clips of the parts you need to see. But today, since we're live, we have time to chat about. So I hope that you all are sharing some comments. And like I said, after the video, I'll make sure I go back and get to see all of it. So I hope that all of you are saying, hey, letting me know if you really are enjoying this project. I hope you are. So the second block ships next week if you joined all the way when we first launched the project. And they have them all kitted and ready downstairs, ready to ship out. Super cute. Your embroidery files are already up for your block too. So you can go on and download those and get a head start getting it over to your machine. And then your pieces will be here in no time. If you're not a member of the block of the month, all you have to do is visit stitchesoflovequilting.com and then click on Christmas Lane, and you'll get to see both versions, the sewing machine and the embroidery machine version. And it's just so much fun to make. It really is such a special quilt, I think. So it's got a few more lines to draw for us. Now I will say when we're doing all of the stripes on the candy cane, I would recommend, can y'all see that? See all the stripes that go down the candy cane? I would put those pieces in numerical order. I have to say when I put my pieces in order today, I didn't put them, the little pile of red pieces, I didn't put in numerical order, so let's hope I do it right. Okay, so let's switch back over to get our pieces ironed on. Again, I turned my hoop sideways to fit onto my Steady Betty, so you are seeing it sideways because I work on it sideways like that. So what we're going to do is start with all of our stripes on our candy cane. Oh, and did y'all see the candy cane in your box when you got it? Hope it tasted good. And if you want, when you have a piece that's a lot of pieces like this, you can simply get your, let me show you a little trick if you want. You can line your pieces up so you want to put them backwards, and you can get them in the numerical order real fast. I am going to do that. Since I didn't already, y'all can just be with me while I do it. It just makes it easy. You don't have to think, right? And you make sure you get every piece in the right spot. They are pretty different looking, all of them. There we go. Number 11. So you can use all the tools that we put in your block of the month box pattern. Okay, so now I have them in order, and I can just simply not think anymore. So that way while I'm talking to y'all, if I mess up, well, hopefully I won't. So just put it right in place between the white stitched line. There we go. And then our next piece. But yeah, so you all had a fun candy cane in your box. You can eat that while you sew. It's really fun. If any of them are broken, the little candy canes, we keep them aside, of course. And so we have a little bucket downstairs where if anybody wants a candy cane, and I have to say I've had a few, they're really good. All right, so just keep going down the line. And if you watched the tutorial yesterday, we were doing the sewing machine applique, really building your applique unit. For sewing machine applique, it's kind of like what we're doing here in the hoop. We're just building it unit by unit, but in the hoop of our embroidery machine. There we go. And don't forget to have the little stiletto or what have you handy, because as you iron repeatedly in the same area, it does get hot. So I must say my fingers are kind of wishing I would just grab that stiletto, but I'll keep going. And then the final piece of that little candy cane stripes. There we go. Oh, this is a great time to show you. See how I got it off a little? If you have it still hot, you can, while it's still hot, adjust your piece into place without affecting it. How nice is that? See? So now it's perfectly in place, and as it cools, it'll stay there. So now another double-lined piece. This is the little elf hand. So you just put one down, and then the second. And you can see double lining, it does help, so you don't see quite as much of the underlayer there. Now we are doing the bottom part, what I just got on my piece from my iron, probably from my dirty iron nail. I'm gonna have to clean that before the next tutorial. Mom will get really upset to see that I use such a dirty iron. Alrighty, and press that. Now we're gonna do our next little leg, and it is very important to pay attention to your numbers, because especially with his legs, they over and underlap. And you can see I'm flipping this just because I wanted the stripes to not be right beside each other. See, take a look right here. Just happens to be that the colors would line up. I don't want the colors to line up. I want it to be funny. See, he's a crazy elf. Makes me think of Will Ferrell in that movie Elf. That's my husband's like favorite movie. You can probably quote the whole thing to you. So then, get this right in place. There we go. All right, and give it a little press. So now we're ready to put this back on. Again, still with the white, because one of the things that your machine is gonna stitch in this next step, it's actually gonna go on and do the white lines on his little legs, because it's the only time we need white stitching. So we might as well do it while we still have the white thread on our machine. So let's go on and load this back. And you'll see the machine is gonna do that buttonhole stitch on his legs, which is super cute. And then it's gonna give us our last round of applique outlines. And so we have just a few more pieces to iron on, and then we'll be going to where we simply just change our thread, and it's going to do all the applique. So in a minute, I will adjust the camera so you can see all of it stitching, because I think that's really fun to do. Looking good. I wish you could see it stitch right now, but you'll get to see it in a second, I promise. And if you're doing this with us, you're getting to see it at your house while you're doing it. And so this embroidery file works on any machine format, like any of the major brand machines. And the only thing that you have to make sure you have is a hoop that is 8 inches by 12 inches. Smaller won't work. All right, now it's going to do our last round of applique outlines. So it's outlining basically his face, and then the fun little yellow part of his hat. Those are the, oh, and the collar, of course. Those are the last few pieces we have to put on. And so when I'm digitizing this for you, I try and get everything to be as much as one continuous line as I can, so that you have less knots in your project and less thread changes and things like that. It's really a lot of fun to do, I must say. And it's just finishing up the outline here. All right. All right, here we go. So we have our last bit of applique outlines. So we have our little boot over here. There we go. And again, with something like this, you really want to make sure you have the whole piece in place. When you have like something pointy like that, to make sure they're in the right spot. And you can see how we went on and buttonhole stitched right here? That's so we don't have to do another step of white when, you know, it could do it while it was already on there. Then we will put our collar in place, like so. There we go. And now another piece where we have two, and that is our little elf face. So just use the lines of his ear to really guide you. There we go. And then you'll put that second piece right on top. You can see, look, I'm a little bit away from the line, so just like I did before, just simply adjust a little. There we go. And it just sort of moves your piece where you need it. On this one, I will give it just a little dap. There we go. And now you put your second piece right over it. There we go. And now our very last piece we're ironing on. It's kind of like, almost like a little crown that he's wearing, isn't it? This little yellow on top. There we go. Got it in place everywhere. And I just work my way from one side to the other. All right, so now we're going to do our first thread change, and we are going to put on the 1095, and the machine is going to stitch across the top of your snow to really make it stand out. So let's change the thread, and then while this starts stitching, I'll get the camera moved so that you can watch it stitch along, which I think is really fun. Because from here on out in the process, all you have to do is change your thread colors. The hardest part truly is just ironing your pieces on, which isn't hard. All right. So let's pull that. And I do keep my scissors handy and trim my threads as I go. So now we're going to have a little bit of a moment when I get this camera moved into place. So bear with me. Again, it's the first day using these new cameras, and I'm really hoping that you all are going to get a lot more cool views of sewing with them. Let's see, I'm trying to get it in a perfect little spot for you. Let's see, this is looking good. How's that look? I think good. Are you ready? I'm going to switch it to the sewing. There we go. So now you get to watch it sew. And you'll see you always have a little bit of a thread at the beginning. Just simply trim that. I like to keep my threads trimmed as I'm going. And just one more little bit. So cool. There we go. I zoomed in even more for you. So now we're going to do another thread color change. I don't need to take it off, and neither do you. Your hoop will stay on for the whole process. As I go step by step, I always make sure to wind up my thread and keep it nice and tidy. I do love that about the Sulky spools. It has the little lock for you. So the next color we are going to load is our 1130, which is our dark brown, and it will simply stitch the tree trunk for us. So just get this loaded. And then we will watch it sew again. And I will say my favorite thing about the machine is that it threads for me. I love that. Let's switch back to the sewing. As it starts, I do trim my thread a little bit. Looking good. I love it. So just give your little trim. There we go. Get your thread out of the way. And we are going to change to, now we're going to put on the 1177, which is the lighter green, the avocado. And the machine, drop my thread. It is going to stitch just the little tree. And then the other green on your project is the, where'd the top of my thing go? Oh, right there. The other green is 1176, the medium dark avocado. As throughout this quilt, we use a lot of the clover color from Riley Blake, and so that 1176 matches really, really nicely in your thread kit with that. Alrighty, let's watch it sew again. Looking good, huh? All right, so for the rest of the project, all you have to do are change your thread colors. I'll show you what we've stitched so far. The rest of it I know you can do. Just simply change your thread colors. Take a look at how good it looks when it's stitched. I love it. So the next colors that you'll go through are the 1256, the beautiful pink color, the sweet pink. Then you'll do the 1039 red, 1019 peach, that 1176 medium dark avocado I mentioned. And then you will have your butterfly gold and your black to finish off with his little smile in his eyes. So again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to comment on the video or of course reach out to our support team. We're always happy to help. I hope you enjoyed this video tutorial and stay tuned for the rest of the we have 2 more tutorials next week for Christmas Lane as box 2 releases. And Mom will join me again next time. She couldn't be with me today because she's downstairs helping everybody. So next time she'll be up here with me, and that way we'll be able to answer all of your comments in live real time. So I look forward to seeing y'all next week, and I hope you're enjoying Christmas Lane. Happy stitching!